into y'all brains a little bit and kind of go over the RSI that we always cover on our streams. Can I VOD all my streams? Yeah, if I decide I want to do it, I will. Honestly, I really believe in a world where the people that show up deserve the information that I give, and the people that don't show up, it's not like you don't deserve it, but it's just like, I reward people who are here. I'm here every day, so join me up. I know some of you are Europeans too. I get it, but you know, sometimes it'd be like that. What did I do here? I think I pressed the button that I've literally never pressed the button before. Usually you can hide it. Okay, there we go. I thought I did something weird. Okay, let me just fix some things with the RSI quickly here. I don't need that base to MA right now. Right now we're going to be just kind of talking about RSI strengths and what's happening with RSIs and how I interpret RSIs, because this is something I personally developed over the last few years. I call it NAKEDRSI, and the reason why we call it naked is because it kind of gives you a clear picture, in my opinion, how you can use RSIs to your advantage to whether to know you're in a bullish area, a bearish area, or whatever. I won't be taking any questions in chat right now during this little thing that I'm doing, and we'll kind of continue from that. So RSI, very basic, is relative strength indicator. If you go to your indicator tab up here, you type in RSI, you're going to get an RSI, and the RSI is going to have a little MA baseline. You can remove that for now, you can keep it, that's up to you. I don't particularly care. So when looking at RSI, or when you look at RSI in a textbook type of situation, for the most part they'll tell you above 70 is overbought, below 30 is oversold, and if you can kind of see this middle white line here, they kind of draw it for you. That's the quote unquote halfway point. And if you're above it, you're bullish, and if you're below it, you're bearish, right? So that's generally as far as RSI kind of plays out. So what I've kind of done is I break down RSIs into 4 regions in the middle of the chart. And there's obviously top regions and bottom regions, but we're going to kind of go over the more basic situation, I suppose. And with RSI, if I just kind of remove all these, let's just kind of remove these preset lines that I kind of set up. It kind of looks pointless already. Like, it just kind of like, there's RSI, the value's 36. But you'll kind of notice how we do with our regular charts, how we start drawing support lines in a sense, or resistance lines, to find areas where you can kind of see, oh, this is the range that it moves in. This is a breakout range, not a breakout range, right? When we're applying that kind of same idea to RSI, you can really create a better story for yourself when trying to read the charts. So what I do, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you want to be perfect, be perfect. But I always have a theory in this market, and the theory is that it's manipulated. And if it's a manipulated market, that means it's not a perfect market. And just to begin with technical analysis, trying to be perfect in technical analysis, I think that's mostly bullshit. Because how do you define perfection, right? So when I'm doing 36, like, you don't have to do exactly 36. You can do 36.26. You can have it at perfect number. I don't really care, right? Because we're just looking for essentially the kind of just like the best range for it. You know, we're looking at like about 56, and then 65. You might ask, why not 66? Because you did 36, 46, 56, 65. Just because it's so close to the overbought, I just kind of made it at 65. Just because it's a little bit smoother. And immediately, you're going to see something, or maybe not immediately. For me, it's immediate. For you, it might take a little bit while. But immediately, for me, I already notice a trend of sorts. there is a little bit of a trend, and this is one that we've been talking about on TikTok, but this is going to build up into our theory. So the whole thing is to see, like, is there, can you use this to find any trends, right? And in recent times, we've actually been finding support at 36, 36, pretty much 36. And then today, for the first time today, we've seen a little bit of a breakdown in the RSI, finally for the first time below 36. And you probably are asking, hey man, what does that 36 RSI mean? Let me tell you. We break it into regions because we really want to know bullish and bearish regions, right? Because the first off theory that RSI has to be above 50 to be bullish. What, suddenly 51 RSI is good? Is suddenly 40, 48 RSI really good? You know, that's not a, you can't say like, oh, is 48 RSI bearish? I mean, maybe it isn't. Is 51 RSI bullish? Maybe it isn't, right? So the two most important ranges in these numbers that I kind of drew for you is 46 and 56 RSI. 46, 56 RSI to me is very important because it's kind of showing you if you go above 56, things usually get quite bullish. If you go below 46, things start to get a little bit more bearish, right? So you can kind of even see on this 4-hour chart right here, when we were going sideways here, right, what was happening to RSI? 46, 56, 46, 56 for the most part, right? You had some periods where it bounced off that 36. You had those periods of bounce off 36. But for the most part, you can kind of see, like, when it gets to these 46, 56 regions in the RSI, things start to get a little bit more coin flippy, as I like to call it. Now, as you can even see right now, when we broke past this little trend line that remember, if you haven't watched last week's video, make sure to watch it. Or the first video, it's not even last week, it's our first video. It's on the VOD on Twitch. I think after this video today, I'm going to be posting both of them to YouTube. So check it out on YouTube. So when we broke this kind of trend line here, isn't it interesting that it's also the first time that we kind of broke this RSI trend that we've been having for a very long time, right? It's not a super big breakout yet, right? It'd be nice if we saw a few more 4-hour candles going red, but right now it's very much so. Just, you can even see right now it's trying to fight back into 36 RSI, right? And these levels can kind of give us, is it that bearish, right? If we're looking at something that's truly going bearish, what happens? It goes into an oversold category, right? Button. This goes into oversold. It goes under that 30 marker point right here. When things start to get bullish, or more bullish in a sense, they'll hang out in a very bullish overbought above 70, right, RSI. Okay? So with this, you can use this to your advantage to be able to kind of even tell yourself, are we in a more bearish period, or are we more in a bullish period, right? So one thing you can use to yourself, and we still haven't explained the 65 46s fully, but we're starting to get there. It's all going to be a nice little story at the end, right? You can see when we were going down here in this little trend, when we're starting about, let's say about here, let's just use this to make it easier for you guys, for the newbies to kind of see. That entire period, right, the RSI was bouncing in the low regions, right? When you get a really low region type RSI movement, you really get this type of, how do we say? You just get a very bearish type cycle happening, right? You can already tell that when it's a bull market, like a very big bull market, and we're gonna have to go back in time for a bit to even get that type of bullish RSI, like right here. When you have a bullish RSI movement, right, you can tell on the charts that it's going to be most likely more bullish because it's hanging out in the high RSIs. Because don't only forget, we're only looking at the 4-hour chart right now. We're just using 4-hour chart as an example. You can do this on the 5-minute. You can do this on the 2-minute, 1 hour, 1 week. I don't give a fuck what time frame you use, right? Right now we're just looking at the 4-hour time frame, right? So when kind of looking at that, you can use that to your advantage to be like, hey, you know what? This is a bullish RSI, and then kind of looking back here, back to where we are, that's like, hey, that was a bit of a bearish RSI. Kind of like we can be more expectant that the future, unless they really take it to a very high overbought level for a period, right, it's going to be much more bearish for a while. So even though we did go overbought on the 4 hour right here, right, even though we did go overbought, it was much less longer. I don't know the fucking right English word on that. It was a lot less time spent in the overbought area than we saw in that oversold area before, right? So that's just kind of like, that's just kind of like the very basics of how to kind of use, like kind of look at RSI health in a different way, because it's all about zooming out, and it's all about kind of looking at the RSI in a different perspective than you normally would, right? So going back to that oversold theory, right? So this was a very bearish period, very oversold, very blah, 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 right? But if you kind of look at the breakout that we had here on the RSI, let's say about May 12th, something like that, around May 12th, you know, we broke out of this little downtrend period, because look what was happening. It fell below 36, which 36, in my opinion, if we're looking at RSI health levels, it's bearish to be at 36, but it's not hella bearish, okay? That's the easiest way to explain it. This is hella bearish. This is sorta bearish, right? So think about it that way. Like, which one is more bearish, right? Obviously, the one that hangs out in oversold categories is way more bearish than the one that stays above oversold categories, right? Duration was the word. So when we had that little breakout back above 36, because look what happened. Let's just kind of zoom into what happened at this 36 RSI period, right? We went from a very oversold period, right? Even this one, we went oversold, went to 30, denied it, market. That's not good to see. You don't want to see a market bounce a little bit, right? It wasn't a big bounce, right? But you had this like shitty 4 hour candle here, shitty 4 hour candle here, and they're like, yeah, we're not really willing to push it even above oversold, right? So they took it more down, then they tried again, and then it was like a little bit more bearish. They tried to break it above 36, denied it, stayed a little bit more bearish, and then when it broke out over 36, that not only does it signify like, hey, it broke over 36, but there's a little bit of a trend change that happened, right? Just a little bit under that, right? So when we started the trend from May 14th to this new RSI trend, there was a reason why we weren't going down. Yes, there was support at 2800, 880, 2800, 400, blah, 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 right? But there was, every time we tried to go lower, right, you can see in the candles every time, it's not a coincidence, guys, it just can't be a coincidence at this point, that every time we tried to go lower, every time we touched the bottom of the trend line here, plus or minus, the market was finding support at 36 RSI, 36 RSI. We went all the way up to 32,500. We fucking crashed all of that in 2 candles, right? Look at that. That's another thing you always want to be careful of, like watching to be like, was it more bullish? Is it more bearish? If 2 4-hour candles overtake pretty much this entire box area right here, right? This entire, I don't know how many candles that is. I'm not going to count it. But that's probably about like 10 or 12 candles right there, which just got totally fucked by 2 candles. And even then, it still held 36 RSI. Then it did another bounce and another big fall in 2 candles, 2 big red candles, and another support at 36 RSI. And another one of those candles, once again, 36 RSI, right? And that kind of signified to me like, well, it's not truly willing to go any lower. And we didn't really see an overbought level over here, which was telling me, hey, you're not really willing to take it like super overbought. Not to mention, you know, we were denying the 200 EMA right here, which is a very big indicator. You know, if you can't go over the 200 EMA, I don't give a fuck what the RSI says. You're not that bearish. Then, not that bullish. You tried again here, 200 EMA, denied it. Tried it again here, denied it. But something you would have not noticed without the RSI lines, and why I'm a big fan of RSI lines, is this is another thing that we love to talk about. If the price was here was about 32,500. The price here was about 32,100. Here people thought it was very bullish, or they believed it was bullish, and they were willing to bring it to overbought levels. The next time they brought it to to the same region, which was the 200 EMA, and this one was also the 200 EMA, right? And I know I haven't gone over EMAs in the first lesson, but it's something you hear on my streams a lot, so bear with it for a little bit. We'll go over it on the next session, not today's session, but the 200 exponential moving average, if you want to know what it actually means, right? Every time we saw this was a higher price in a sense, but a lower a lower price and a lower RSI. I mean, you could just kind of draw a divergence and be like, that's that's bearish or whatever. But it was clear to the RSI that the first time they took it, they tried to bring it bullish. The second time, they weren't even willing to bring it above overbought. Look how it just went boom, boom, perfectly exactly to that 70 RSI level right there. And they're like, okay, let's attempt the 200 EMA again. So then they attempted it again. Next time, it barely went over 56. It wasn't willing to go over 56, which is our main indicator. If you're above 56, I think you're more bullish. If you're below 46, I think you're more bearish, right? So using that to our advantage, we can kind of see hey, you know what? Even though the price it doesn't matter what the fuck the price is. If the price is at this level and the RSI is going lower, and at this, at here, pretty much you could say that these are the same levels, right? Here, here, here. If you wanted to kind of just draw a line of best fit, right? Let's make this yellow or white. You'd be like, yeah, okay, the prices have been the same. Not much has changed. But that's not true. The truth is, first time it was overbought. Second time it denied overbought. Third time it denied going over bullish, our category of being bullish, okay? And now it's trying to break below this 36 RSI, right? So you're like, oh, okay. Even though the price was the same, the people's feelings towards it was not the same. Just because you hit 32K another time wasn't like, oh yeah, we hit 32K. This is like the 38th time that we hit it. We just need to do this 38 more times. No, none of that shit. That's bullshit. That's some made up bullshit. No, it's just fuck what the price is. What matters is what the people are feeling about the price at that current point, right? So that's the basis of RSI and how you can use these quote unquote RSI levels, naked RSI levels, whatever you want to call it, because you can see the emotions. It went from an overbought level, found support at not going over super overbought, tried to go over the 46 RSI, denied EMAs with it, went back to 36, retested the trend line, retested 36 RSI, tried to go for a breakout, went a little bit bullish, right? You can't say that at this point right here it wasn't trying to be bullish. Tried to break out over 70, denied it. The moment it cracked down below, went back to 36, tried 56. 56 is the bullish indicator for us. Wasn't willing to go over to 56. Then kind of struggled in this flip coin zone area. Cracked below 46 right about there. Let's draw that line together. Right? We go to the vertical line tool. Right about there. It kind of started breaking down. You didn't need a bot to tell you that it was going to break down. You already kind of knew, hey, you know what? The RSI just keeps chopping down. God damn, I keep deleting it. I'm trying to make this a little bit clearer, right? The RSI was already telling you, not only the EMAs and everything else, that hey, you know what? Something's not right, because it tried to go bullish, tried another time. It almost looks like a bouncy ball type of thing. It's just like the ball bounced and then went bounced lower and then bounced lower and it bounced lower and it bounced lower and then ran out of energy, right? I know about Control C, but I do a lot of drawings. So that's really the basis of the RSI levels and how you can really use RSI levels to your advantage. We can go to the daily, right, and see what's happening on the daily. That was just the 4-hour candle. 4-hour candles, they're not super. It's not super long term, but it's also not super short term, right? So this RSI level that we had over here. On the day, on the 4-hour, it's like, oh yeah, we went bullish, but remember, that was only for a 4-hour period, and the 4-hour really only is going to tell you how the next half a day is going to go, right? But let's go look at it from a bigger perspective, right? Let's go look at it the same perspective that we had from all these regions, and this shit next is how I told you guys this is the reason I fucking started TikTok back in fucking April 2021. Actually, really May 2021. I started April 27th, where I was like, what the fuck are these influencers going on about? These guys are fucking leading them into the fucking slaughterhouse back then. Because there was one big thing that mattered, which was, once again, and you gotta draw it on your charts because that's the only we're gonna see, right? Look how we were going to a higher price, but a lower RSI. When we reached 64K for the first time in April 15th, at that point, RSI wasn't even fucking willing to go overbought. This is when it was hyper bullish. That's why and that's how you can also use RSI to your advantage to also find support levels, right? When we were bullish, the most bullish that we were was this region and this region. That was the most bullish crypto ever fucking was. The most bullish it ever was ended around January 11th. After that, it was actually not as bullish as you may have thought in your fucking brains when you're watching TikTok and all these fucking influencers are shilling you the fucking shittiest fucking shitcoin because markets go up and anybody can fucking point at a fucking screen in a bull market and be like, oh, this coin's probably good, and it goes up. Everything fucking goes up in a bull market, guys. It's about finding out the people that know how the movements work when the movements work, right? So when we, and the reason why we're finding so much support here, because the most bullish it was from about 26K, 26,500 to about 40K. That was when the bulk of people were like, oh, ship it, fucking ship it. They didn't give a fuck what the price was. They're like, buy, right? That's what they wanted, right? Now, when we're looking at this, afterwards, next time we hit 60K, not that overbought. The next time we hit, what was it, 62K, not that overbought. Next time we hit 65K, the first time the 64K all-time high, not even overbought at all, right? So now you can also use this to your advantage. You can even just draw resistance lines off of this and be like, you know what, there's support between 23K and yeah, I guess up there at 40K, but there's obviously, here and then 26,500 or whatever. And so forth, right? Because that's where a lot of the volume went in. That was when people were manic and crazy. And then the next support levels, right, will probably be from 12,000 to 19,000 or so, right? So you can just based off of that, not even just kind of going off of just whatever, you're just going off of the hype that was fucking shown to you, right? So when even if we're kind of looking at this, if we're drawing it perfectly, look what happened when the downtrend broke all the way back in July, right? When the downtrend broke in July, that was a multi-month trend. You should always respect multi-month trends on these RSI levels because they really show you, like, hey, we might have been, like, this started January 11th, the downtrend, and it broke down, July 22 or 23, right? And that's like a 6-month trend that, you could have been like, hey, you know what? We broke a 6-month trend on the RSI. Maybe it's a good time to long. I guess it was. Fuck me. I guess that worked out. Must be just coincidence, right, guys? Just a coincidence, not anything else, right? So what happened? What happened again? We saw this also similarly in September, right? It's a little bit harder to see, but like same thing. We had a higher price going up, lower RSI. We kind of fell down, and then we had that final breakout to 69K. But even at 69K. Right? Where was it the most bullish? Well, at 69K, once again, just like we saw back then at the old all-time high, the people interested in the market was like, I don't know, I'm not really fucking interested. Why am I fucking... Who the fuck's buying Bitcoin? Who wants to be the fucking schmuck buying Bitcoin at 69K? Right? Nobody wants to be that fucking schmuck. Right? So now you can kind of see these RSI levels, and it's not a coincidence either. Check this out. You know how on the daily... This was more apparent on Ethereum, but on the daily Bitcoin, you can kind of see when and this is you can apply this to the 4 hour, the 5 hour, the 1 hour. I don't care what fucking time frame you use it at, right? It's universal time frames. When we had the Corona crash in March 2020, that's after America started printing money. Obviously, that's when the bull market started. But every time there's a pullback, what did we see? Support at 36, right? And then when the market finally crashed, and when it started getting a little dicey, that's when it started getting dicey. That first crash that fell below 36, because this was from March 2020 to April 2021, a 1-year trend where it stayed above 36 RSI, and then it started crashing below. Then it had another crash below, and it stayed below there. But then when it went above it, look what it did. Found support at 36, found support at 36, found support at 36. Even though the price was going lower, the RSI was staying supported. So just like on the 4-hour, what we just saw, there is a little bit of bullishness on the 4-hour, just a tiny bit, even though it's bearish because it's at 36 RSI. It was a little bit of a bullish indicator that back then it was finding support at 36 after cracking that. And what happened in September 2021? 36 RSI again. And then what happened when we started crashing after 69K but kind of found a sideways thing? When did it really fuck up? December 3rd, 2021 is when we cracked after another, what was that, from July 2021 to December 2021, so that's like 6-month trend. That broke down. You saw that, look, 36, 46, 36, 46, 36, 46, 36, right? Boom, 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 right? And then the moment it cracked it, which also cracked the 200 EMA there, right? A little confluence, you always want confluence. And look what happened after that. It didn't go oversold, but it wasn't doing well, right? It tried to find some support, barely went over 36, barely did. This was the fake out breakout to people were like, oh yeah, back to 60K. RSI doesn't agree, man. RSI doesn't agree. Went back down 36. What happened when you break 36? Once again, nothing, no good things happen when 36 RSI breaks on the higher time frames. The worse it fucking gets. And then you saw the continued chop down, the chop down, the chop down. Then they tried to take it bullish, but then they couldn't even bring it to the overbought levels. They got denied at the 65 RSI area. Then it went to 36. Then it went a little bit higher. It still had a little bit of a, you can say there's a little bit of bearish divergence up top up there, right? Tried to break it above it, failed. But then it found a little bullishness. Then it was like, oh, people are like, yeah, this is it. Bull market's back on, right? 48K, people are like, oh, this is easy 55, whatever, bullshit crap. They're fucking peddling. But no, it was a fake out breakout above the 200 EMA. Didn't go overbought. It was there for like a day and a half at best, maybe 3 days total above. No, actually, honestly, that's like 3 days above 65 RSI. And then what did it do? It fell down. And where did it find support again this time, guys? 36, 46, 36, 46. And what happened when we broke 36, 46? Well, we fell from about 37K to about 26K. And then right now we tried to do a little run up again. Always draw your trend lines. Ah, look at that. We're breaking the RSI trend line. We're breaking the trend line there. Uno, dos, tres. You got yourself a little lesson, right? So, basis of the overview again. Let's go over this RSI. It was about 30 minutes, but that's exactly how I wanted it to be, right? 36. What do we do with our RSIs? And there's going to be one last little thing I'm going to tell you guys to do at the end, because this is how you can help yourself in the future as well, right? We draw lines at 36, 46, 56, 65. Why? Because we want to understand the health levels. If you're above 56, it's more confirmation. It's a little bit more confirmation you're more bullish instead of something like 54, 53, 52 RSI, right? If you're below 46, you don't want to be below 46 because you can see in the price action immediately what happens at 36 and 46 RSI. And if you start going below 36, which is my quote-unquote last bullish support, as I like to say, I mean, it is really the last bullish support, then you start going into unfun territories, right? And the last thing I want to mention to you guys, always when you go to your charts, go to the top, find the most overbought RSI, find RSI tops, anywhere it topped out, because it doesn't happen often when it tops out, nor when it bottoms out, right? And you'll notice more often than not that depending on the bearishness of the situation, some things will bounce more at certain areas. Like we're looking at the daily here, and this is the 2018 drop. We actually haven't been as bearish as 2018 RSI yet. We actually haven't seen that 9 RSI region. You can kind of see there's been times where we bounced off about 19. There's times where we bounce off 25. If it bounces off 25, it's a little bit more bullish. The lower you go, the more fucking harder it will be for your asset to return to a more bullish perspective, because the lower you go, the harder it is to dig out of the hole, and the higher you are, in a sense, right? When you're up here, the harder it is to kind of fall through the ground. But once you fall through the ground, aka 30 RSI, you know, there's only so much, you know, shit that can happen to you at this point, right? So make sure you draw your top RSIs, your bottom RSIs, because you'll notice more often than not that these RSIs are topping out in general areas. And if you ever do, you know, if we're in a bullish area right now, and let's say we're just up here, and we know that the top RSI in recent times, even something like 2019, was about 87 RSI, and you're sitting up here at 87 RSI thinking like, oh, to the fucking moon, just keep buying. You could be like, well, maybe I shouldn't be buying right now at the top here, because historically we have denied these high RSI regions, and, you know, statistically it doesn't look like it's on my side to be purchasing Bitcoin right here at, like, I don't know, what the fuck was this, 40K when the RSI was 87, because historically that shit doesn't play out well. And the same kind of goes for your other fucking side of the table. When it's like really low RSI here, of course it could go lower. But historically, you know, we can just kind of look at this. Historically, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, out of 11 RSI, bad RSI times in history, right? We've only seen a crack below it like fucking 1.5 times, 2 times, depending how you want to look at it, right? So just understand that, like, RSI is much more beautiful than you fucking think it is. Much more beautiful than you fucking, you know, read in a fucking textbook, right? We've been out here, or I've been out here developing this for years. This is called NAKEDRSI, and I don't know. Let's take questions in chat. I'm gonna quickly end the stream as a indicator that this is over, and then I'm gonna turn it right back on. I'll be back in 2 seconds.